a month ago, there were a number of bomb threats made to Jewish community centers here in the United States. Now, it turns out that Israeli authorities have arrested a 19-year-old suspect who not only made those bomb threats to Jewish community centers here in the US, but also to other countries as well. Now, this is a 19-year-old Jewish Israeli American citizen. So he has dual citizenship, and he was arrested while he was in Israel. Police believe the man, 19, carried out fake bomb threats in New Zealand, Australia, and against scores of Jewish institutions across the United States. He also allegedly called in fake bomb threats to 2 Delta flights at New York City's John F. Kennedy International Airport in 2015. Now, interestingly enough, he was deemed mentally incompetent, or at least not mentally stable enough to join the Israeli military. Most people in Israel have to join the military, and they decided against him joining because of his mental instability. So
it's an interesting situation, and we do have this in some folks, right? So he's smart enough to figure out how to camouflage his voice. In fact, it took investigators in the US, the FBI, and Israeli police a long time to figure out who he was, because he was so good at masking the IP addresses from which the threats were coming.
So he had some sort of device that would allow him to post things and search for things and basically be active on the internet with different IP addresses, which made it really difficult for police to track him down. So, I mean, to say he's mentally unstable is one thing, and incompetent is a completely different thing. So I should be clear about that. They deemed him unstable. So it doesn't mean that he's not smart enough to do these types of things.
Yeah, and so that could obviously coexist, and it has apparently in this case. And his defense attorneys are now saying, hey, he should be hospitalized rather than have a trial. We'll have to see about that. Right now, the Israelis are likely to try him. We don't know if the US or any of the other countries involved are going to try to extradite him. But great job for the authorities solving the case. We have no idea, other than his mental instability, what motivated him to do this. Like a lot of unstable 19-year-olds, it was probably to try to get attention in his own way, or to feel some sort of glory, and they all have different ways of exhibiting that. And so far, no idea about what his politics were.
We don't even know what his name is. They're not releasing his exact identity until he appears in his next trial date. But I also want to be clear about something. So there were the threats that were made at these Jewish community centers or toward them. And then there were a number of cases where cemeteries were vandalized. As many as 3 cemeteries here in the US, Jewish cemeteries were vandalized. We still do not know who those vandals are.
Yeah, so that's exactly why false alarms like this are so damaging. What I was gonna say is, I don't know what his motivations were. I don't know if it was to blame others for it, whether it's right-wingers or Muslims. I have no idea. We have no idea. The kid's mentally unstable, right? Or it might have been just to evoke sympathy for fellow Jews, right? Again, we don't know. But if that was your intention, it has the exact opposite consequence, right? Because what it does is it allows people who already want to dismiss those attacks to go, oh, why, we knew it. It's just them doing it themselves to try to get attention, and there's no real anti-Semitism. No, but those cemetery attacks happened here in the US. That kid's in Israel. He didn't do those, let alone the shootings at the Holocaust museums, at the Jewish community centers in Kansas, and all those things. So if he thought it was to help whatever cause he had in his head, it did the exact opposite. It unfortunately allows people to say that it's no big deal and it's not real, when in fact a lot of it is very real and sometimes deadly.
Right, exactly. I mean, this goes way further than political motives or the perception that people might have when it comes to these threats. When these threats are made, they should be taken seriously, because we don't know whether or not they're serious threats or if it's just some crazy person doing this for attention or whatever his motive is, right? So I don't want to create an environment, or no one should create an environment where these threats aren't taken seriously. And I don't want it to turn into a boy who cried wolf situation. And unfortunately, if we have more people like this doing stuff like this, I think people won't take actual threats seriously, and they should.
You know who's gonna stop Trump? Stop the establishment, stop the corruption? You are. You help us hire new investigative reporters, and we will unleash it on them. tytnetwork.com/go. Let's build the best journalism team in America.